We are live.
Recording. From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the American Greek Factory.
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
And welcome to the American Greek Factory podcast. This is Nathan.
This is Colin.
Andrew.
Tonight we have an exciting show for you. Wow, lots of news drops going on right now. Stuff going on. We're conducting airstrikes. Okay. That's weird. That just came up on my news.
Oh, Afghanistan?
Yeah, I don't know. They killed the ISIS planner for the bombing of the stuff, you know.
Well, considering the British tipped us off the day before, I don't know how the hell we knew that, but okay.
Yeah, there was suicide bombings at the airport that killed like 149 people or something?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that heavy. I thought it was like
13 American servicemen died too, so it's a mess. And I guess we're now doing airstrikes. Actually, they said they killed the guy, so they planned it. So okay, good. But that's ISIS. That's the ISIS Delta variant, the new ISIS that's doing this. I don't know. It's ongoing news story. I'll report more when I know later. Or I'll report later when I know more, I should say.
No. Report more before you know later.
Yeah.
Do it the Fox News way.
Make it up now. How is this going to affect the American economy? What will billionaires think?
Well, they care.
Sirhan is going to get paroled. That's interesting.
Wait, who's that?
The guy who assassinated Robert Kennedy in front of a room.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was an assassin. Okay.
You know, that's weird. I don't know how you get parole from committing murder like that, but okay.
You're very, very good.
What state is it in, and how old is he?
California, and I guess two of Robert Kennedy's sons spoke in favor of him getting what they call it. Now it's looking like compassionate parole, so he's probably dying of something.
Okay, yeah.
Too much love.
Yeah, he's a weird one. Weird dude. Oh, he's got his first name and his last name are the same word. That's got to be something.
It's not weird.
Also, good news for Tim Cook. To round out his decade as the CEO of Apple, he got a bonus of $750 million. All is well with the world. Wow.
Using all that offshore tax haven money for good things.
Yeah.
Is he going to start his own space corporation now?
Jeez.
Yeah, he's going to. Yeah. Well, no, they want. What did Apple want? Oh, Apple wants to make cars.
Yeah.
That's the next thing. Apple Car. We'll see how far that goes.
As soon as Siri drives somebody off a cliff, it'll stop.
Yeah. So that's
Siri.
on my news feed. Oh, and they also said that milk crate challenge that people are doing, try to avoid that because the hospitals are all full of COVID patients. So break your legs doing the milk crate challenge.
Or go to the Johns Hopkins coronavirus map, and you can see how many ICU beds are available in your area.
Yeah, before the milk crate challenge.
Yeah. Or also do it on grass.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people doing it on just the side of the street. It's like, this isn't going to end well.
Yeah, just hard pavement.
Is there any challenge that doesn't end in death or injury?
I mean, Ice Bucket Challenge usually didn't end in death.
Yeah, unless people froze the bucket of ice solid and then tried to pour it out, which is the same as dropping a brick on your head. And some people do that, I'm sure.
Some people got themselves in danger with like planking challenges, but that's like, like I'm gonna plank in front of a train. That's their own fault.
No, because like the cinnamon challenge, you could die doing that. Like fucking, been some like Tide Pod challenge, which should have never been a thing.
That was never real. That was just
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't know if that was real because keep going back and forth between it.
People did it because people said it was happening, and of course it wasn't happening, and then people started doing it, and then it's like all those like weird sex things you read about. It's like nobody does an Alabama hot pocket, just people say they do.
Yeah, I can't see you talking to a woman into like, all right, we're gonna get some icy hot, and that's what we're gonna do with it, which would actually it would be painful for both, but very painful for her to put icy hot in nether regions. Not a good idea.
It isn't, son of a bitch. Okay. Honey, cancel the icy hot. Don't do it. I mean, I've never really used icy hot except as a dare from people, so I should probably know that it's not a good thing to use on your body.
Yeah, not for internal use.
It's like every other medical product. After 15 years, they find it gives you cancer or something else horrible. You're never supposed to use it for that intended purpose anyway. You can't use Q-tips to clean your ears. You can't use baby powder.
It's like when you look at a curling iron, like how many like warnings are on there because people are fucking stupid.
Yeah, it says right on a curling iron, do not insert in any bodily orifice when hot. Like, who needs to be reminded? But I like the thing about how they say, like, it was something funny about, it was a meme. I don't know if it's actually true, but it probably is. Where it said in the 1950s, cars, the owner's manual of your car came with instructions on how to address the valve lash in your engine, to do like really repairs to your engine. Like it was included in the owner's manual. Whereas nowadays, cars owner's manual include warnings not to drink the contents of the batteries. I don't know if that's true, but it probably is. Oh, we'll go to being a gun show for a little bit. I've upgraded. I now have a holder for my gun. I knocked the microphone sideways. Probably couldn't hear that. Yeah, this is a holder for it. It has a sling so I can wear it across my back like a true lunatic. And let's see, I've got some... I upgraded the front end with the Magpul covers for the holes, so now it doesn't have the vent hole or the holes in it for mounting flashlights.
Oh, the M-lock stuff?
Yeah, so it's got new. Well, this gun's so black. It's got like new. Let me see, like, so now those holes aren't there.
Yeah.
The ribs, and then I got the Pacmar handle, the rubber handle for the bottom back of it. And that's about it. I don't think there's much more I can do with this. It's pretty simple. It doesn't have like a lot of features. Put lasers on it or something, but that's it. But like
just a flashlight, then like this is where the cone of violence is.
Yeah. Yeah, I could do the flashlights. I don't know. I've never put things like that on guns.
How about a bayonet?
I'd want like an axe head.
How about an axe that is? Well, I guess you can't put a stock on it, but an axe head is a stock. It'd be terrible on your shoulder, but like when you're out of ammo, you can flip that thing around.
Well, I moved my old gun safe upstairs into my closet instead of in the basement. Thank God for the presence of young men, because I got that heavy bastard up the stairs. But now it's in my closet, so and I got up. I got something to keep the safe dry. So. But yeah, that thing was that'll go with the house. It'll when I sell this house, it'll be like includes a free gun safe in your closet. I don't think that's coming out.
Oh, he's not without more help anyway.
Yeah, that'd take a lot of help to get that out. I mean, it was completely empty. I was shocked at how much ammunition I have. I was like, oh boy, I gotta shoot some of this. You just lock it in the one section of it and you forget, like, oh, okay. Because every time you go to shoot at the range, you get like a couple hundred rounds of 9mm, or used to back in the good old days when you could find a couple hundred rounds of target ammo and stuff. Then you just forget about it, put it in the range bag, and then it goes into the safe, and then it's like, let's go shooting again. Then you buy more, and then before you know it, you got like 2,000 rounds. Like, oh, they're gonna think I'm one of those people. It's like, oh, this is just I forget to take it back to the range.
Yeah, I think in my safe I have just 4 fully loaded clips, or magazines, not clips.
Yeah.
Magazines, and I'm like, I'm never gonna use those. It's like, and then I'm thinking like, should I like be crazy and like unload the magazines for a bit and then put them back in so they're not under constant spring tension? Like, are these things gonna fail when I use them if I have to? And,
Probably not.
no.
Yeah.
I always thought the degradation of the spring was when you kept reloading it over and over again. Like it was more of a time thing than like just leaving it loaded.
Well,
Yeah, it's more time.
they used to make springs for magazines. It was like nickel iron, and they would do what's called taking a set. Whereas if you kept them under pressure long enough, they would just like set in that, and they wouldn't be as springy. So you might run into feed problems. But they started making those out of stainless steel like years and years and years ago, and that doesn't take a set. But I always leave mine unloaded, so I don't leave my magazines loaded. But.
I only leave my like common where it's like I have a couple loaded just for home defense purposes. Like,
Well, I have one for that. It's a revolver though. So the nice thing about a revolver is the mechanical action isn't some spring; it's just the cylinder rotating. So,
yeah, okay.
but yeah, I have a revolver for that. I don't even keep the shotgun loaded because those are just frighteningly destructive. I mean, a shot to the face from either one would be devastating, but the shotgun means closed casket. And then I'll have a report in a few weeks. I'm going out to some guy's farm, and because I have like 500 shotgun shells, so I'm just gonna really work on this gun, and I'll see if I can figure out the point of aim. See if I can prove the guys on YouTube wrong that say these guns are worthless. It's like, no, you just gotta know where the point of aim is.
I have a quick.
I'm a big fan of the blunderbuss.
I have a quick F1 update. F1 is back. You got the Belgian Grand Prix is happening this weekend at Spa, one of my favorite tracks because that was one of the coolest turn or set of turns in F1. It's commonly known as Eau Rouge, but it's like a set of turns that it's the one that goes way up a hill. It's like technically the bottom of the thing is Eau Rouge and the top of it's Redillion. Whatever, people call it Eau Rouge. They know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So far in qualifying, it seemed the Mercedes and Red Bull were at the tops again. Although Max Verstappen crashed in free practice 2 and red flagged the sessions, but there's only 10 minutes left anyways. So. Red Bull has signed up Sergio Perez for 1 more year, so good for him.
All right.
Some stability in Red Bull. There was a pretty bad wreck in the W Series qualifying because it was kind of wet out there, and Spa, and it was at the Eau Rouge turn, which can be quite deadly. That is where Antoine Hubert died 2 years ago, or in 2019, in an F2 race. And also, like, the reserve driver for Williams, Jack Aiken, like, he was in a 24-hour Le Mans race, and he got in a really bad wreck at the top of Eau Rouge, where, like, the fucking engine flew out of the car and landed on top of some tires. And he got some lacerations, yeah, and I think a part of his body was impaled by his car. Not enough to like really do some damage, but like something was stuck in him after the wreck.
Yeah.
I don't know if it necessarily like, wasn't like a rebar going like through his stomach, but it was like something went in. Spa can be quite dangerous. And so there was a wreck during the W Series qualifying. That's the all-woman racing series, and they're racing like F3 spec cars. And it was like, oh man, it was pretty, like, I was surprised. Everybody walked out of it. One person has to, Bites Kavissa, she had to have some x-rays on her leg. Her leg might be broken, but she seems to be in high spirits that she'll be able to race, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, it was a really bad wreck. A lot of like people like hitting hitting other people crossways, people getting spun upside down and flipped like a tabletop. It was like, yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was like, I was surprised nobody got seriously hurt. But yeah, you have qualifying tomorrow and the race on Sunday. And then I have one of the weirdest side stories I have ever heard to an F1 weekend. This actually happened a few weeks ago before this, but it's fucking crazy. So the CEO of the track, of the Spa Francorchamps or whatever, like the person that runs the track and all that, she was killed in a double murder-suicide perpetrated by her husband 2 weeks ago.
Yep, because she was having an affair, so he took it out on her.
No idea. It was the article was in French, so I only got that stuff.
Oh no, I read the highlights of it when translated.
Oh, okay.
Like she was having an affair with somebody, so the husband killed her and then killed himself.
Well, who was around to say that's what actually happened?
I
It was just
don't
pure
fucking know.
speculation by the
I'm assuming
article.
they had like phones and other shit like as evidence or something. Maybe I don't know. I mean, I just read like somebody's like translating comments on it, so it's like okay. I didn't. I mean, obviously, like you said, it's in French. I can't physically read it and go like, "Oh, that's bullshit," but I can try.
I mean, that's what you assume, but like I have no idea. Like I didn't. You know, if he's gonna kill one guy, her and himself, you assume that's what's going on. But like, fuck, who knows?
Oh yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I could say that probably that's exactly how I would say it worked out for most people that are in similar situation, unfortunately. But yeah,
And also, I got a kickboxing heavy bag this week.
Okay.
So it is.
That like?
It's a heavy bag like you see in boxing gyms, but it's like longer, so you can kick it.
Oh, okay.
It weighs 100 pounds.
Wow.
It's a bit more deceptive than like you can, imagine it's like somebody who weighs 100 pounds. You can kind of fling them around, but still. But yeah, I got the mount. I hung it up. I used it a couple of times. I had to get wrist straps and everything, and boxing gloves, and I got some shin pads. Fun things about boxing gloves is like when you go to order them, they don't tell you like, hey, you don't pick like a size for your hands. You pick out boxing ones based on how much you weigh. Which is basically what's supposed to be. It's like the more you weigh, the harder you hit, or the more force behind your punch. And so like these are meant to be like sparring with people. So basically, I had to get the 16-ounce gloves, which is like the maximum. I was like, okay. I mean, I didn't really need to get those, but I was like, whatever. I'm never going to be sparring with these. It's just going to punch the bag.
Yeah.
And then I got the shin pads, which when I ordered them, it was like one size fits all. And then when they came here, it's like medium. I'm like, fuck me. I mean, they Velcro on, so it'll fit okay. But like, I have pretty large legs, and so it's kind of awkward. But it's like, no, whatever. I'm just gonna be kicking the bag, so it's just kind of like a fun cardio thing to do rather than just boring old cardio. So, no. But I take down and put up the bag every time I use it. But I have I use the weight bench to get the bag up there, because like the thing that hangs down, it's like you got like two of like the hook things, and then there's like a spring thing you put it on in between, so like it hangs down by like half a foot, and then like the thing's already long to begin with, so then when you hook it up there, it's like only like 3 inches off the ground. So so I don't have to hoist it up in the air to hook it up to the mount. So it's pretty easy.
Because I was just trying to imagine you like hooking that onto a. Yeah, it's like that's a workout in itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna try to look up like YouTube Muay Thai boxing cardio videos. But we read a book this month, or
Last 2 months.
Yeah.
we read. Let me look it up. Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry.
Written in 1985
Yeah,
and won the Pulitzer Prize
yeah.
for literature.
Because I guess what I guess when I heard of Lonesome Dove, I always just assumed it was like some sort of like epic Western love story. I had no idea what a bleak story this was.
Bleak.
No, yeah, it's not a feel good story of the year or anything.
But
Yes,
yeah, I can see why I won the Pulitzer.
The politics of sex in the 1870s and men and yeah, just kind
Yeah,
of
because this isn't like a heroic depiction of cowboys or anything like that.
Oh.
Men are crying all the time.
yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, a lot of them are, especially when they start the cattle drive, they're green or their first time from home type of stuff too.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but quite a few of them. And especially people that are afraid of like, I'm going to drown in the river. I just know it. Get me a jug. Give me a big jug.
It makes sense, but like when you think of like Western stories, how they generally are, like the standard Western, it's always like, you know, any like John Wayne thing, he's always stoically doing something. Here it's like, here's the reality of it. It sucked, and you're probably gonna die.
I can't say they're wrong. I wish I could, but I can't. No, it's just something where
and you kill you like, and it's all this thing about like hanging horse thieves and stuff like that. But isn't this cattle they grabbed? Didn't they steal it from Mexico? But it wasn't a crime in Mexico.
No, it's a crime. You can hang in both countries for stealing horses. They just they did it because they knew the country from guarding the border for so long and shit. And so, like, they never really talk about the irony of that. Like, they would definitely hang somebody and go catch them for stealing horses on the U.S. side, but they never seem that concerned, especially once their main rival down there dies, and everybody's like, bullshit, he's not dead. It's like, oh, no, he's dead. So
yeah, because that's what they kind of intimate, that there's going to be, like, this fight early on between, like, this like their Mexican counterpart that they stole the horses from, but then it's like, oh, he died like a week ago. It's like, how? It's like, I don't know, something fell on his. I can't remember how he died, but it was something stupid.
But yeah, I mean, it's just the whole book, like from beginning to end. Like, obviously, the intro is pretty slow, but at the same time, it does a really good job setting up everybody and like their motivations and what they want to do.
You got pigs killing a snake.
Yeah. What's not to love about that?
I like the book starts and ends in Lonesome Dove, but the majority of the book does not take place in Lonesome Dove whatsoever.
Yeah.
But it is a cool name, so.
Yeah.
Right. What's the name of the ranch? Or is it the name of the ranch or the town? I forget.
It's a town. It's just a small town. Like, it's like north of San Antonio or something?
Yeah. And this was kind of the end of that era too.
Yeah, because they're trying to go to Montana, but like Montana's dangerous because they haven't killed all the Indians there yet, essentially. But then that's to now I'm trying to remember all the people's names. There's the main guy. Well, I guess that's hard to say.
Paul and Gus.
Gus, yeah, Augustus. So Augustus, for him, this is like, that's the last free place in America, so he wants to go there to set it up himself. Like this whole book is like both like the libertarian's dream and their nightmare. It's like, this is what I want, but this is what's actually going to happen.
Yeah. What I have to go through to get there. Yeah, because Paul and Gus and they're Texas Rangers or former Texas Rangers.
Yeah. So is Jake Spoon.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that gives them familiarity with the territory.
And I can't. Was Dietz just like a good cowboy, or was he a Texas Ranger as well?
He's African American Ranger.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Like all the black guys in the book are like their scouts. Like they just like know the land.
They even called them Black Scouts.
Yeah.
They never
Very on
called
the
them
nose.
Scouts though. I was surprised. It was like, oh, when's the racism coming out? Really didn't really.
I mean,
surface that.
it happens, but it's like kind of a weird
Always
passing.
bad people that are doing it though.
Or it's people like mentioning the guy, and it's like this is like quick shorthand for them.
Yeah.
It's not, but it's and that's always like it's there's implied racism with that stuff, but then there's also like, you know, when they die, of course, they're like, oh man, like we're gonna miss him. And it's like, but there's like this weird untold thing that like, but there's also like, you know, they talk about in the book where it's like one of the ladies slept with a black guy and they killed both of them. It's like, oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's still there. It's not
Yeah.
gone. There's lines.
Also, like, so like in, you know, from other podcasts I listen to, we haven't gotten this that, but like, there's a thing that's supposed to be like you're not supposed to call, you're supposed to call them sex workers now, not hookers and prostitutes. I think presumably because it's dehumanizing, and you see throughout, if you follow serial killer stuff at all, it's always like that's like their first victim is a hooker or a prostitute because it's like, who cares if they die? So it's probably that's why there's people that will argue like don't call them hookers and prostitutes. But even here they got the euphemisms. Like they still call them hookers and prostitutes, but they also call them sporting women.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's
And then Wood calls giving Gus advice. Don't fall in love with a whore, Gus. You gotta know better than that. I know better than that, but nonetheless, he's still falling in love. You know. So yeah, they're all over the place with some of these terms. And then like the only prostitute in town is like you find out she was basically like she was essentially kidnapped into sex work. And it's like her story is terrible. But she's very unhappy. Of course, she
wants to go to San Francisco.
Yeah, she hates her life, and she hates the people who just have sex with her and the people who have sex with her and admire them. She like views them with equal contempt. Like, well, because men haven't been good to her, so yeah, why would you? So she's like a sympathetic character.
It's Lori, right?
Yeah, Laura.
Yeah, Laura. Yep.
Lorena Wood.
Okay.
But it was such a weird story of like how you hear now how young girls get kidnapped into prostitution. It's like, oh, that's the same story just set in the 1870s in a book written in 85. So that's weird.
Yeah, her story doesn't exactly get better.
No one's story.
No
really
one's story gets better.
No, I don't know. Technically, you're not wrong.
We just live on. We don't even know why. Like that was some speech in the book. Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, this one was like anti like karma is what this book is. It's like it doesn't matter how good or bad you are. A violent and fateful end will happen to you no matter what you do. If you're a good or a bad person.
Or a rock will fall on your head, or you'll break a leg in a caldera somewhere and then just starve to death because you can't get out of it. You dry out in the desert like a mummy. It's like, yeah, and it doesn't matter who you are. It could be like the local pastor that fed 20 orphans and never did anything wrong. It's like, oh, he got bit by a snake and died screaming. It's like, oh, okay. And that's told casually, like, he's dead. That sucks. How about another round? Brings a glass to Jim, because we could be next.
Jelani Johnson was a very character I wanted to like, but he kept like fucking himself over all the time.
Yeah.
so it was just kind of like, well, I'm not really invested that much in this character anymore.
Yeah, he kind of like he seemed to like have the idea of convictions, and then they just kind of fade away. He just seemed to like have no drive at some point. It's like, well, this is the thing I gotta do, and then I'm just gonna go do it. I guess it didn't work out. I think he's contemplating suicide after he gets like 6 people killed looking for Jake Spoon, and then he just ends, and then that gets solved anyways for him. He's not even involved with it.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't even get the satisfaction of revenge.
Because Jake Spoon. But Jake, what was it, something like he accidentally discharged the rifle because a dentist, there was a dentist like working on him or something, and he accidentally shot the dentist?
Oh, he was in like a bar fight or whatever, and he was trying to shoot the guy that went through the wall and killed the dentist in the street or whatever.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know how much he's bullshitting about, like, obviously, like, the town's very up about, like, going to get Jake Spoon, but like nobody actually seems to give 2 shits about going to get Jake Spoon. And he only kind of does just because his wife is like, "Oh, you should go out and do it," so she can run away and die on the prairie to Indian attacks or whatever after she gives birth to a baby she doesn't want and shit.
And this thing about Jake Spoon is like I think they try to set him up as being like this like hero almost, because like people talk about him as being like, oh, he's a good shot, like he's basically the gunslinger, and then like all the things the stories about him being a good shot are basically like totally like blown out of proportion. Like he shot some like Mexican bandit in the head, but he was like aiming for the horse and he hit him in the head by accident. And everybody thinks he's a crack shot. And there's like another instance like that. So like that he basically gets hired on as like he's the gunslinger and he's like a good gambler, but then then they have him hitting women and he's always constantly disappearing and scheming, and then he just ends up with bandits because he doesn't know what to do with himself.
Yeah, see, this book is one of the few books I've read, or at least I remember, probably because of the length of it, or actually listened to, is where it introduces, there's unreliable narrators everywhere in this book, but then it also resolves that too. It like you don't think like maybe that wasn't the true story or not. No, you eventually find out whether it was true or not. But it's weird how it's like it carries you along, because like almost everything Gus says is some kind of exaggeration or just a combination of things that really happened and things that he thinks should happen or whatever. Because he's kind of a wordsmith and a game player, and because he's always like tormenting Bolivar, their cook. He's like, I'm gonna time how long it takes him to take a leak. How long a man pisses is a measure of how long he's gonna live. It was just like crazy.
Yeah, that was good detail, because like, oh, this is how fucking bored people were back then.
Yeah, this is what you had to do.
Yeah, they can't read, so books are off the table.
Well, except for Gus, like he seems to think he knows Latin because he wrote that sign in Latin, but he doesn't actually fucking know Latin anymore.
Oh, was it Gus that wrote? Okay, I thought that was some other guy, because I thought there was something where Gus can recognize words, but he can't really read. I thought there was something.
Yeah, because like he used to know Latin and he still had a book or whatever, but then he he wrote the sign. Then he's like, that looks cool, and it's like, and then the guy at the rich cattle hand drives by that went to like Stanford or Harvard, I can't remember which fucking university, and then he's like, oh, I like that, it's a nice sign. And he's like, yep. it's like don't ask me what it means.
Because like that one guy that
okay, go ahead.
Well, there's that guy that the brother gang they steal horses from. Like that guy gives Gus a book, but Gus says something like he can't really read anymore or something like that.
Well, yeah, he hasn't been up on it for a while because it's been a long time.
Yeah,
and the guy's like,
I thought that implied he had fading eyesight more than.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, he is a really good sharpshooter still in the book throughout until his passing. Like he picks off Indians he doesn't think he even fucking hits or whatever in his final battle.
He's just incredibly farsighted. Like can't see anything up close. Like I can't hold that book away far enough to read it.
Yeah, Gus is a combination of absolute truth and complete bullshit. There's always truth to what he says, but it's also kind of slabbed in by just nonsense. And it's really lies he's telling himself. Again, that's something this book does really well. Is it gives you the unreliable narrator and then shows you why he's unreliable.
But also like you have why it sets up Jake as kind of being like, like the good guy at first, or at least the would seem like would be the guy because he's handsome and he's a gunslinger and he's like, and like he's so handsome and good at things that he's like he got this lady away from hooking. Like they're gonna go to San Francisco together, and of course like Gus, like when they are basically kind of like seem like they're an item, like Gus is like, well, I know you're with Jake, but how much for a poke?
Yeah. There was all kinds of terms for sex in this too. It's like, he's gonna put his carrot in me. It's like,
yeah.
Like that almost sounds worse than the F word.
Why don't you put your penis in her vagina? Why are you putting your carrot in her handbag?
Yeah. That's the ancient West.
And in the time it took everybody to read this, I read the next book in the series, Streets of Laredo.
Oh,
Is
okay.
that a prequel? I imagine.
No, that's what goes on after this. It's like 10
okay.
years after this, basically.
Because I heard some of the other series are prequels or whatever.
Yeah, the third book in the series is technically a prequel to this. So I wish I would have known that before I read The Streets of Laredo, because like knowing how everything ultimately ends, it's like, well, I want to go back to the very beginning. It'd be nice to read some of that stuff, but at some point I might.
I like some of the cattling details, where like when it starts lightning and like you see like the lightning sparks up on the horns on the bowl or on the bowls or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, that's crazy. And they're like, when they start to get spark and get away from them.
Well, just like some of the deaths are really fucking gruesome too. Like the first death of the cattle drive, where it's just like a bunch of water moccasins like totally overwhelm this guy and like bite the shit out of him and his horse to like death or whatever. It was like, that was a freak accident. That's never. It's like everybody's spooked and no one wants to go over the river. It's like come on, it's fine. There's no more snakes. Like,
I don't think anybody died here, but remember the grasshopper swarm?
oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah, that was weird. That was a strange, like locusts of the plains.
Yeah, probably
or July Johnson, like he has to like kill 2 horses in like 3 days. It's like, it's never happened in my whole life, and now I've got to kill 2 horses in 3 days.
Well, like some of the characters I really liked in the book were Gus, Newt, and fucking Spoon. Not because he was like a good person; he ended up being a piece of shit. But at the same time, he's an interesting character.
Yeah, well, he's a misguided. What would you call that? You know, he's like Han Solo, but
Yeah, he's kind of like he's a lovable rascal that, you know, but also this like in this dark world.
So what happens with Jake is like Jake ends up like hanging out with a gang who think they're gonna like hang out at bridges, and basically people heading west they're gonna try to like extort them on bridges, but then they just get into cattle stealing and horse stealing. So they steal some horses, end up in a shootout, and then he's like drunk, and then like what converges is like Gus ends up helping out the guy they stole the horses from, and then they end up like catching the guys, and then Gus and his friends like hang them all, but and also with Jake. So Jake ends up getting hung by his friends at the end, and they are conflicted by it, but it's like, well, this is what you have to do. I mean, this is what, and it's like, yeah, because there's nobody around to really dispense justice. It's like it's legal in the state to kill a man for stealing a horse.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean, you don't have like law enforcement like on a state level. It's like, yeah, if we kill these guys, we won't have to worry about them killing us and stealing our horses. Kind of like just it's like, yeah, this seems like frontier justice, but really this is just eliminating a problem that's going to come back and get us.
No, it's reading that book, there's a lot of standout scenes like Blue Duck and stuff like that. Like he's a really imposing villain in the book, and obviously the cattle drive itself is probably the main villain.
The main antagonist is the cattle drive.
I mean, like, there's a lot of good like fucking. I don't really like westerns that much, so it's like it's really nice to see like a book that really captured my attention that I didn't expect to really like.
Yeah, I think this is like, it uses that colorful language. Like, I'm interested to watch the movie now, because like a lot of the magic of the book is like people's internal monologue, and now they have like lofty metaphors for everything. I'm like, how do you turn this into a movie? Like, they can't say all this shit out loud.
You could do the Dune thing. Focus on the characters and they talk in their head.
But yeah, but it's also, I think it's like I said, like what I expected out of this was like not a bleak Western. I thought it was going to be some like Western love story or whatever. I think because somewhere I thought it was just some sappy love story because it's called Lonesome Dove. I guess probably Dove in the title makes it seem more sappy than it actually is. But because I never actually I know of the title, but I've never actually seen any depiction of Lonesome Dove.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just again, it's those words they use to describe beautiful things that have nothing to do with the world they're actually living in. It's just the world they aspire to.
Yeah,
You're stuck in this hell where if you get you get a scrape on your finger and die from some kind of infection or something, and there's people shooting at you, and traveling at night is like you might as well put a loaded gun in your mouth. It's like someone's going to rob and steal you.
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I always assumed that like when they do the cattle drive, they're just doing it during the day. But it's like they're fucking moving that at night, and like they're staying up for like 3 days in a row. It's like, and then because they moved the cattle at night, they're also like somebody fell in a briar bush or something and fucked up their hand. It's like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You can't carry enough feed to feed them, and you got to run them near rivers so they don't dehydrate. But yeah, you got to move them like in a continuous thing. You can't ever stop.
And then they'll get stuck in the mud at the rivers.
Yep. They'll break their legs in like holes. Like what kind of holes were those? Like not possums, prairie dog holes, something like that. Yeah, you can lose a horse that way. You can lose cattle that way. You can lose a man that way.
What were you gonna say, Andrew?
Oh no, I was gonna say, you guys interested in reading the follow-up book at all, or no?
Not immediately.
Well, no, not immediately. It's just something where it's like I didn't know.
There's only like 3 people alive at the end of this fucking book.
Well, I mean, there's fucking Cal. There's
His son. They never says his son.
Yeah.
By the end of this book, I assumed that everybody he left in Montana are dead by the time he gets when he takes Gus's body back to that field in Texas. I assume, because I was waiting for him to go back to Montana and everybody's dead. That's what I assumed.
Well, I mean, they touch on it a little bit in the maybe it's like the third through the book. There's even more fucking depressing shit in the fucking second book. Like, I thought the first book was bad enough with like depressing deaths and circumstances. The second book's just as fucking bad, or worse. But yeah, I mean, there's literally, yes, technically you're right, but also it's not everybody's dead. It's just the whole fucking operation folds under because the captain gives Newt his horse, the one that's like, very temperamental, wants to kill him all the time. So I guess what it does to Newt.
Oh, was it Hell Bitch? Is that the name of the horse?
Yeah, Hell Bitch. Yeah. They don't even talk about that much in the book. It's just like, oh, guess what happened like a couple months after he left? Oh, Hell Bitch reared back and crushed Newt to death or whatever. And then nobody was there to run the ranch well. It fucking financially collapsed and everybody left or whatever. And so it was.
Forget the guy who owned the tavern / whorehouse burned himself alive in there.
Yeah.
Because she left and he was in love with her. The Frenchmen who always dressed nice.
Yeah, this is probably for such a prestigious book. This has like one of the weirdest last lines of a book I have ever seen. He missed that whore. It's something like that. I can't remember. That's the last line of the book.
He just missed that whore too bad, huh?
It's like, Jesus Christ. That's how you're going to end, huh?
What if the book was called For the Love of a Whore? Would that have sold as well?
Maybe. I mean, I'm not going to say I wouldn't read it. But, I mean, at the same time, yeah, I don't know. Why did he pick... I mean, he picked Lonesome Dove because that's the name of the town they start off in. But, like, what stopped him from calling it anything else? Because it's not just about the town itself. I mean, it does end in the town. It does start in the town.
Does anybody know if Lonesome Dove's an actual real place or not? Or if it's just completely fictional?
I don't think it's a real place.
Okay.
It's supposed to be like a fictional border town, which it just seems like any old border town like that doesn't exist anymore or still does. Because I tried to look up like certain locations. I talk about San Antonio being a certain amount of place away and all this other stuff, and it's just like, oh, okay, it was really that big distance. And it's like, oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, because how long does it take him? Like 3 months to get to Montana? Just like moving all the time.
I think it took him more than that. It probably took him because it took him like a month just to get through.
Oh
all
yeah,
the
because
seas
like
and all the other shit.
because when what's his name, the captain?
Gus?
Cal.
When Cal has to take the body back, he's saying it's going to take like a year and a half to do the round trip or something like that.
Yeah, and then he gets fucking shot for some reason. So the actual town of Lonesome Dove was built on the nearby Texas-Mexico border Rio Grande River on the Moody Ranch, is what they say, because it's not a real town. It's just...
Oh, okay.
But yeah, eventually they get to Montana and get in a fight with some Indians, and Gus takes an arrow to, I can't remember, like he gets like gangrene in one leg, but it like spreads to the other leg somehow. Is that just
because he didn't want it cut off, so he blood poisoned himself, basically.
Well, he only got shot in one leg. How'd the gangrene get to the other leg? Is it just the blood flow or something?
For your body, yeah. That's why they cut him off, so it doesn't spread. Because it's like internal rot.
Okay.
And if it rots down to the blood vessels, then it gets in your blood. Then you're done.
Yeah.
Then it's like you have pus for blood. It's probably not that gross, but pretty gross.
But he lets the doc. Oh, yeah, there's some funny lines between him and the doc. His doc's just drinking as he has to like saw his leg off. But like he won't let him take the other leg because he can't see him. He can see himself surviving on one leg, but not both legs gone, and so he basically succumbs to blood poisoning because he won't let him take both legs. But he writes his will in the meantime and gives money to a girl dying of
Consumption.
yeah, while she's playing the piano. It's like, she's gonna die anyways, right?
Yeah. It's more of that stuff.
Yeah, there's a weird scene where Newt, it's like it's like ends up he like shoves a rifle in his pants and tries to ride the river down, and then ends up naked at the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was trying to save the captain or whatever, and like, oh, I better keep hold of all this stuff, and then he loses all of it.
Yeah.
Going. Then he just like passes out and wakes up on the. He's like, shit, what direction am I in? Okay, I'm just going this way. It works out, which is surprising.
All right, we'll come back to this. I'm gonna start a new call.
All right.
So I'll call you guys back.
Right.
There it is. Stand by.
Good solo, by the way.
Let me transition back. All right, back on the air.
Yep. Yeah, the tapestry and the world building in Lonesome Dove was great too.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Like you really thought you were like, oh, I don't understand how these people live, but I understand where they live. Like it all gelled together really well. Sometimes I'd rewind stuff just to hear it again. Like, what was that? Oh yeah. It makes it's why the American West is exciting. Until you actually go there now and you realize, oh, it's just on fire. It's not as fun as it used to be. So we have anything else to say about Lonesome Dove? I mean, we're going to continue our Lonesome Dove discussion, I think.
Well, I mean, if you have any more, what do you mean continue? Like, or do you mean like go to the next books or what?
Well, I mean, however we want to do. I mean, I think this is something we could come back to many times and just talk about, like, what was our favorite section? I think we've done kind of the overview,
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
or not.
Might as well get out now. Like I'm just like leaking out all the things that happen in this book.
Yeah, it's hard. Well, it's for me. It's like describing every. It took me so long to listen to this. It's like I can't recall. I know the general overline of the story, but I can't recall everything. So I'm just talking about the things I really liked, which was mainly the dialogue.
Yeah.
Just how men thought and solved problems back then. What a world without books it would be like.
I think the part that I'm like kind of missed out on. I think I fell asleep to like the end of part 3, where like I think that's part 3. Well, you guys want to know which part 3 was. It's where Blue Duck takes Lori. Like I kind of missed out on the whole what happens there.
The July and the other and the shootout with the Blue Duck's gang, and when they rescue Lori.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was exciting. There was a lot of daring do there. Blue Duck's kind of a surprisingly one-dimensional character.
Hey, he's just evil.
He was described as like this menace of this area, and it's like, well, you think when they catch him, it's like, has he got a speech or anything? Nah, he just wants to shove a knife into you. He's this angry guy.
There's all stuff with Claire. Like Claire is pretty interesting, keeping basically her brain dead husband alive until he eventually passes away. And then also Gus is like, he wants to like settle down with Claire, but he also wants to go to Montana and have like be a cattleman. It's like you can't have both. And it's like, I reckon you're right. Because like at some point like this, like people just end up at Claire's house because she's just kind of like just before the town and she has horses to sell, and so a lot of the characters intertwining stories kind of end up colliding at Claire's house. Then you have like was it like Elmira or something? That was July's wife.
Yeah.
She ran away with the whiskey guys. Then she's like getting protected by a buffalo hunter, and then just unceremoniously mentioned like, oh, somebody killed a buffalo hunter and a woman like 2 weeks ago. It's like, well, that's got to be them. And then at some point, it is revealed it's just they were just unceremoniously killed by bandits or Indians or something.
Well, I mean, they were warned not to go over there, otherwise they'd probably be killed. And he was like, fuck you. We're going to Kansas City or wherever the fuck they were going. I can't remember now what destination they had.
Or they go to some town because she's like in love with a guy. What was his name? It's like LaBoot or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, basically, she's in love with him and like wants to get back to him because they always had good times together, even though they never seem to stay together. And then it's like, oh yeah, he's in town or he's in jail for killing a kid because he was trying to fucking scare him. Instead, he shot him in the head or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're about to hang him any day now, and it's like, what? That can't be true. And then she like collapses because she like left too soon from Claire's been having the kid and shit and bleeding and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I thought, well, maybe we'll come back to Lonesome Dove, as Nathan says, if he has something more planned.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we just...
But yeah, it's a very large book, very detailed, and there's I can see why it won the Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah, it was just it's very well written.
Yeah. Also,
Larry McMurtry died very recently.
yeah, it was only like
Yeah.
it's like a year ago or something. But yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
2021.
Yeah. So
Well,
even
you're-
less than that, it was like 4 months ago.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. He grew up in Archer City, Texas, and he died in Archer City, Texas.
Okay.
And he was not a guy. I watched a few videos about him. He was not a guy who was happy with success.
Huh.
Kind of one of those writers. Well, I mean, who's the other guy? Oh, the guy who does like Western type stories. He's pretty old now too. Guy who did No Country for Old Men, Cormac McCarthy.
Yeah.
He's another one of those guys that's like, I'm uncomfortable with success. Just a writer. Don't look into it. Don't.
Failure is my muse. I don't know what to do with success.
Well, I mean, it's not like it's not a question of like I don't like success. I'm not comfortable with the trappings of
Yeah.
success. It's like I'm glad I'm paid enough that I can continue to write, which I love to do. But what I don't want to do is sit around and have like a deep dissection of my novels and what it really meant. Some writers get really super annoyed by that, and he's
Yeah.
one of those guys. And who's the other? Oh, this guy wrote Gravity's Rainbow, like Pynchon. He just never appeared. It's like one of he mails his books in by mail to his publisher. Like he never meets anyone. So yeah, it's kind of in that. He's sort of in that school. Not enough where he wouldn't do interviews, but he kind of hinted at like Lonesome Dove by itself. It was almost too successful, and it kind of set the bar so high for me. I didn't feel comfortable writing after that. He kind of had one of those things where it's like,
Well, does anybody know like what else he wrote? Did he just keep writing westerns, or did he do other stuff?
he's always written westerns. Did some screenplays and. Trying to think of what some other stuff let's look him up real quick. Yeah, we had the Lonesome Dove series, and then you had the Barry Bender narratives, which were in the early 2000s, and he wrote what was it? Wrote the screenplay for Brokeback Mountain. Weird. Okay,
Huh.
not his book, but he wrote the screenplay for it.
Yeah.
Huh.
Huh.
Didn't know that. Yeah, he's done some television writing and stuff, but yeah, so he's done a lot of always westerns. And he's also a guy that liked collectible books too.
Huh.
'Cause that was his first job, was like hunting for books for rich people. He was kind of like Johnny Depp in The Ninth Gate.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Hey,
Oh, okay, yeah. This is
yeah, Ninth Gate's written after.
it's based on the life of Larry McMurtry. Slept with the devil in France. It's a weird story. But anyway, Lonesome Dove, check it out if you got 3 months to read a book. Because it's almost 900 pages, but it's actually cool. It's
Yeah.
cool to listen to or read. I did one of those duo things because I could do both.
Yeah.
Because like with Kindle, you can, if you have everything like your Audible and everything through Amazon, your Kindle can actually pick up where you stopped listening. So I read and listened to this because I had to really cram to get this in.
Yeah, I had to hurry up, so I listened to it at 2.35 times speed.
Oh, okay.
Because like each section was going to be 9 hours otherwise, and then they became 4 hours. So like I can do that. So, but we also watched a movie this week.
Yes.
I picked the movie Paprika, which is an anime story about going inside people's dreams to try to solve their mental problems, and then it ends up affecting the whole world.
Yeah. Well, I thought when I was watching this, I was like, this reminds me of like Dreamscape or Altered States from the 80s, only just on an insane level. Like,
Yeah.
just so over the top. Because, of course, a lot of people said that, like, what was in some of the reviews I read of this, because I really honestly had to read reviews and synopsis to make sense of what
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
seen.
It's mostly
I'm not gonna-
visual.
I'm not going to sit here and bullshit and say, "Oh yeah, I got this all wrapped up in one shot."
No.
No, I didn't know what the hell was going on, but I did do some research on it.
But
They
it
say,
said this Inception, that this was a
Yeah, this is Inception is derivative of this and stuff, and it's like, maybe.
Well, yeah, I was like, yeah, I don't. Some people say, like, some people cite some stuff that Nolan said yes, but then the others cite, like, he says no, but he probably says no for legal reasons. I saw some comparisons where they're showing, like, shots from this movie that, like, coordinate with Inception, but it's not a direct comparison. It's just kind of like they're in the same similar vein.
Yeah.
There's not like Inception has more rules than this movie.
Yeah.
Because this movie's just constantly like, are they in a dream or not? And it's like, yes and no. Because they get outside the DC Mini, it seems like you can only be in this dreamscape if you're in this machine. But then at some point, the machine like escapes the reality, and just like the residue of the machine can like drop you in the dreamscape. But then you're also operating in real life, and people are like jumping out windows and shit.
Yeah. See, I thought a movie's more like the 1984 movie Dreamscape with Dennis Quaid,
Yeah.
where he's kind of like this. He's an actual psychic, like supposedly that exists in that world or whatever. And then Max von Sydow runs this sinister institute, and he's working on sleep and dream research to prevent nightmares or whatever. And then you can have shared dreams and dream other people's dreams and stuff. And it gets it's not a great movie. It's just kind of a weird concept.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, this is in line with that. Like I could see connections here. I don't know if there are, but I definitely was like, oh, okay.
The director of this, he kind of specializes in psychological thrillers.
Okay.
Because one of his first movies he did, which is like, I hear it's very influential. I haven't actually seen it. It's called Perfect Blue.
Okay.
Which is about like a pop singer who becomes an actor, and then she is like is stalked by a stalker, of course, and then it's just very like dreamlike as well.
Yeah.
But I hear that movie is very good. But this is the director's. He died shortly after he made this movie, so this was his last movie.
Oh yeah, I did read that.
I don't know either.
But yeah, like a lot of amazing visuals. Like something this guy does with like running, he just got really right. It's almost like we added way more frames of animation for the. It almost looks like they just like rotoscoped someone actually running, but like they couldn't have done that. Well, I mean they could have done that, but it just I don't know. There's something he does with running is just really interesting. And then, again, of course, it's a dreamscape, so you can practically throw whatever you want in there. And so they do just a lot of interesting stuff where it's just a collage of almost nonsense, but it's has some meaning. I because it's Japanese, there's probably a lot of stuff I'm missing. Like, oh, this coordinates to this, but it's just culturally, I have no idea.
Well, the opening scene, like in the detectives Kanakawa's dreams, are just nothing but like scenes from action movies. And then I like when he's sitting there, like he's dressed up like Kurosawa, he's talking about making movies. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. I mean, this is all in subtitles, so I'm just reading really fast, and it's like, oh, okay, I know who that is. I know what he's trying to do here. Like that was cool.
Apparently, this director like puts versions of Kurosawa in like all his movies.
Oh, does he? Okay. On a done thing. Okay. Yeah, I appreciated that. And, I kind of knew what they were trying to do. And I liked it that a big, huge, fat guy was like the guy who invented it all. But he'd go to restaurants and they'd keep bringing him food.
Yeah, they're like, who has the... And he always raises his hands.
Yeah, this guy's like 7 foot tall and weighs like 800 pounds.
Yeah.
Who has to walk sideways through doors and stuff.
Well, it was part of they show a car driving on the highway, and it looked like one of the tires were flat, but it's just because he's sitting in the back of the car, and like
he's
it's just
in the whole back seat.
yeah.
Drinking a pop. It's like, oh, I can identify with this character immediately.
And he gets the girl at the end of the movie.
Yeah, and she has like a weird thing about, like you're the genius that brought this to us. It's like a weird speech, but it's. She's like, but you eat so much, and he's like, I just swallow everything. It's like, okay, this is kind of weird dialogue. But it's a girl.
But yeah, I can't remember her name, but she is in the real world. She's just kind of like this therapist, but inside, what is it?
Sheba or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Sheba, and like, but inside the machine, she has like this kind of alternate. What do you call that?
Yeah, she's got like her Matrix identity is Paprika.
Yeah, she has she has like this persona inside the
Alter
dream
ego?
world. Yeah, alter ego,
Okay.
who's called Paprika, and she is like this kind of bubbly character who is like trying to help people solve their problems, and she can kind of like seemingly do anything inside the world. You know, she just has dream magic to it or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, this becomes like, the dream world becomes like a David Lynch acid trip after a while. It's
Yeah.
like she's running through paintings and stuff. It's all kinds of wild visuals.
Yeah. But like somebody gets a whole like this whole like it's called the DC Mini. I have no idea why they call it that. It's just whatever. It's a Dream Collector Mini or something.
Yeah.
And it's in prototype stages, but like Sheba is using it to do therapy on the outside, and that's why it's with the Kanakawa. Is that the
Detective, yeah.
The detective, and she's using it to help him, but then like somebody else has stolen it, or just because it exists like outside this lab, it starts to like infect the world in some weird way, and then like I don't know, does anybody die in the outside world, or they just kind of like go into a comatose state and they have to pick them up?
I'm not sure what there. It seems to be as like the parade of madness moves through the real world. It's like, well, there's guys jumping off buildings and stuff. I don't know if they're dying though, because this is supposed to be like a magical dream thing.
Yeah, like the one doctor guy, he jumps to the window and you think, well, obviously he's dead, but he like magically landed in trees and just like hurt his head or something, and so he's like in a coma. And then you have the other guy who like kind of just, who was like the fat guy's friend, just went comatose or something, because he's not like the real culprit behind it. But then you have like Sheba. She was like when they're at that one guy's house, she almost like falls off the balcony because like the dream world and the real world are like merging. And that's where this kind of becomes like a psychological thriller. Is like you don't know what's real or not, or what can be harmful. At the end, it's intimating that like the dream world is invading the real world, and like so like this parade that's like smashing buildings and shit, like that's actually happening. I'm like, really? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. Like the baby comes out of the robot and eats one of the characters, and then becomes
the chairman, the guy who can't use his legs, and they literally call him the chairman. It's like, okay.
Yeah. So she eats this guy and then becomes a fully grown naked woman who just sucks up the darkness character.
Yeah.
And then it's like implied that it's like, well, this isn't over, but you know, this part of the story is. And so I don't know. I could be missing a lot. It's so weird.
There's that weird like kind of like violation scene where that one guy is like pressing his hand into Paprika and just kind of like unzipping her from Sheba or whatever, and it's like, that was a fucking intense and weird scene.
Yeah, that was. It's like, oh, here we go with the weird Japanese sex stuff again. Whatever. We're gonna unzip.
It's like, oh no, this is getting bad sex rape stuff, and then it just not that, and then it's that again.
Yeah,
it keeps moving around. It kind of spares you from being too gross, which you know a lot of Japanese stuff doesn't do. But
well, this was kind of more of a major thing, so they probably just walked on the edges of it.
But then that ends up being like a point where it's like, I guess Sheba and Paprika are never separated, and so here they have both her egos are existing at the same time.
Yeah.
Which helps solve problems. Well, then she becomes like a giant ghost that hugs a robot. Yeah, it's it's kind of a visual masterpiece and a lot of interpretation. It's only 90 minutes long, so you kind of got to bring a lot to a lot of yourself to the movie.
Yeah, this was a packed 90 minutes too. Like, oh, is this because it starts off just stomping the accelerator and never lets up.
Andrew, did you enjoy the movie?
At first, yes. I actually kind of like the visuals. Like visuals throughout are really cool. Like I don't really like the plot that much.
Yeah.
Like I find like the anime makes it too silly, but also supposed to be serious and like world ending at the same time. So I feel like I can't pick a tone. I kind of just wish it should be serious the whole time or just funny and stupid.
I'd have to watch like Perfect Blue because I think Perfect Blue is like relentless in its psychological thriller, and so maybe he kind of let up in his later movies.
Yeah, this starts to become whimsical and then it gets weird.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, is this whimsy? Oh no, there's darkness. There's darkness in here. It's crowding.
I don't know if any of you guys have seen his other work. I have only seen. So there's another one called Millennium Actress. Has anyone seen Millennium Actress? I have not. Has anybody?
No.
Has anybody seen Tokyo Godfathers? That's the one I've heard of, but I haven't seen that.
I've heard of that one, but I haven't seen it. No.
Okay. The only other one I've seen is he did a show called Paranoia Agent, which is it's a pretty cool show and also very weird. There's just like this figment of everybody's nation called Baseball Bat Boy, and it's just like it's a kid who has a bent baseball bat, metal baseball bat, and roller skates. And like for some reason he'll get in people's minds and he'll kill them. He'll beat the shit out of them until they're dead. But like nobody can. But like they're trying to solve a crime that's like this massive figment of everyone's imagination. Like it doesn't actually exist. So there's no evidence of the crime left behind, other than the body. It's a pretty cool series. So that's the only other thing I've seen of his. But I've heard of a lot of his other stuff. So I need to watch. Probably need to check out Perfect Blue at some point, but like I said, I heard that's kind of relentless and and dark. But
Sounds like something we might want to check out.
but I don't think that I think this is the only anime I saw on Criterion Collection. But I just picked this one because it just looked cool and I was vaguely aware of it. This is not a part of the neo noir series, although this is this is an investigative thriller, but but it's not part of that series that they have out right now, which was what we've been picking our movies from recently. But so I just kind of threw this one in here,
and it was fun. It was kind of a break from the other stuff, and
I kind of wish that it had a dub, but it was fine. You watch it.
No, it wasn't anything. Wasn't like a bad movie. It's just something like I probably wouldn't watch again.
yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't. I mean, I really like anime. Like a lot of it, I like it. I guess when it's more serious, or I guess when it picks a lane, when it tries to do both, I don't think it does well.
Yeah.
Like if you just try and because there was a nice GIF montage on Reddit yesterday where it was like showing all the anime scenes that have been ripped off or used in regular. Motion pictures like The Matrix or Inception and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, you could really see where a lot of this stuff might have been inspiring or just blatantly ripped off. And I think that should be a real concern. But at the same time, I don't know. Because like you said, legally with Christopher Nolan talking about like, oh, yeah, this inspired me or this is the basis of the movie. It's like, oh, no, it's not the basis.
I mean, with the Matrix, the Wachowskis literally took a copy of Ghost in the Shell to Joel Silver and it's like, we want to make this, and he's like, okay.
that seems accurate, actually. Well, because were they known for anything else before that? Because weren't they like set designers or builders or something?
They did a movie called what was it called? It's like Lily Tomlin. It's like this lesbian relationship, and there's like somebody's been kidnapped. It is an interesting movie, but like they go from that to The Matrix, and there's like absolutely there's no through line where it's like, of course they would make The Matrix. There's nothing that would give you any intonation that they would make The Matrix.
Yeah. Somewhere I heard there was a Matrix 4 trailer out.
Oh. Hmm.
Was it some comic thing? I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not on the
probably.
internet yet, but it will be.
Okay, because I know the Spider-Man one just came out a couple days ago finally. But it's really disappointing because I still really hate Doctor Strange. But I don't like Benedict Cumberbatch in that role. I think he's a horrible choice for that character.
The
Like,
movie
he
you're
does-
talking about by the Wachowski, just call them the Wachowskis now, is called Bound.
Yeah, that's it.
Doctor Strange. Never saw it.
Yeah, don't. It's a bad Marvel movie. I don't know. I mean, not that they've been
I
doing,
thought
like,
visually
getting
it
out
was
of
like
horror.
one of the coolest ones, but
Yes, but like that's not the movie. That's like I would like to. Yes, a lot of the visuals are interesting, but like it was a poor movie as far as like overall structure and villain. Like yeah, I mean it's supposed to be.
I know nothing. I know nothing about the comics, so I don't really know like what they did right or wrong.
Oh, I don't know a lot about Doctor Strange in the comics.
Oh,
either.
okay. Because I thought I like Benedict Cumberbatch. Like the visual stuff was cool. I thought the story was fine, but like I like the characters. But like hey, as we've seen with NCIS New Orleans, like just because you have likable characters doesn't mean the actual show is going to be good.
Well, because I can't remember. Like, isn't it like Thor, Iron Man 2, Thor 2, and Doctor Strange, like, or I guess until now anyway, sorry, because I know Shang-Chi's out and I kind of want to see that because I've heard a lot of good things about the fight choreography in that.
Yeah.
Supposedly it's really on point and it's really well done. But besides Black Widow and that, like the recent ones that came out during the pandemic, I think those are like the worst performing Marvel movies, if I remember right, as far as like overall like Rotten Tomato score and financially, I think, if I remember right. So I mean I understand there's always gonna like there's so many movies in that series. It's gonna be one of them's gonna be shit or multiples are gonna be not good. But
I mean, I think they're all enjoyable, but like also I'm not like I have a low bar for those movies. I'm not looking for them to like blow me away. I just want to have a fun time. Because I think that's a lot of criticism is like people like say about the Marvel movies is that like they won't just be a thing, like they have to be a part of some other thing, so they're kind of like not making movies, they're basically making a really long television series. Or not making a long television series, taking a long time to make a television series.
I guess I just don't know. I mean, I've seen Benedict Cumberbatch and other stuff, and I guess I don't hate him as an actor. It's just I don't know why he's in that role. Like, I know there's plenty of other people that could have cast. I think Joaquin Phoenix was like the other main choice, I guess, for that role. But I don't know.
Do you hate that he's just kind of like he's a bit too plain? Like he's just kind of like doesn't have.
I don't know. I guess I figured like more or less like the way that talk about the character in the comic books and stuff like that. Not like everyone's the same, but he seems to. I mean, I think they've gotten some of the character right with like how depressing it is, but at the same time, I don't know. I guess I just don't like him as a role and a fit for that role as in general. Like I just don't think as a person he works in that role. He just doesn't seem. I don't know. I guess I just hate
British guy playing a New York surgeon. Now he's
because like
he has magical powers.
Was like his whole thing about how he, isn't like he fucking goes off a cliff with his Ferrari or some shit, and that's how he damages his hands.
Yeah,
it's like so only his hands were damaged from that. That seems rather convenient, but at the same time, like
logic.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, that's the hubris. Like his whole life revolved around his hands, and now his hands don't work.
I don't know. I guess I just hate Benedict Cumberbatch. I don't know.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess
if you don't like watching somebody in a role, and you like, there's no way you're gonna enjoy a 2-hour movie with them in it.
Well, it's just like I like the multiverse part of it. I don't know why they're doing it again. They already had success with it with the animated version, and I think that's where they should stick to it. Like live action, I guess is.
Well, this gives them a chance to recast everybody and basically reset everything so they can make billions of dollars again. So.
Well, yeah, that too, but it's just I don't know. I really wish Doctor Strange was not in the MCU at all, but we'll see. I thought the idea they had for the next Doctor Strange movie like seemed kind of interesting, where they're
because the way people described it was like it was essentially just going to be a horror movie set in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, because like Bruce Campbell already leaked his lines or whatever that he had in it. It's a cameo, which I don't know how smart that is for him. I guess it's like where he's just like he gets called up as Ash or whatever, and like has the Necronomicon and shit. But yeah, that seems kind of interesting. I'm actually more interested in the second movie, standalone movie for that. I just don't know how much I really like him being in the Spider-Man movie as heavily as he seems to be.
I mean, I don't know. It's just a scene. I don't know. Who knows? Because as far as that with that trailer, it seems like everybody's in that movie. So
no, there's not any person that isn't in that movie. But at the same time, yeah, I don't know why I'm going on this weird long rant about this stupid shit.
Yeah, say good stuff or bad stuff about Paprika. Not the movie, the spice.
Oh, okay. Well, I like it on potatoes. It's good on potatoes. It's pretty good in beef stroganoff. There's like quite a good, like especially smoked paprika. There's like a bunch of different paprikas. Like people don't even know. There's like sweet paprika, smoked paprika. There's a bunch of paprika.
But is it a spice or a garnish? That's.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't really used it as a garnish so far. I mean, what is paprika in its normal form? Because I've only used the powder. Is it like some kind of like little acorn looking thing, or is it like a flower?
Probably
or something?
a plant.
Okay.
I don't know. Let me look it up.
Because like all these things you use on your because all these things you use on your spice rack, I've only seen a few of them in like original form, like a regular.
It looks like a pepper.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like a pepper.
I find it to be enjoyable on white meat products like pork or chicken. I don't know about beef so much. I guess I haven't had a lot of it with beef. But yeah, between that and cayenne and red pepper, chili flakes, and garlic, that's pretty much my go-to spices. They're top 5 spices. Paprika. I don't know if you're number 4. Let's go number 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know how much everybody else here like actually cooks on a regular basis and like uses spices and whatnot, but
I do.
I pretty much just use chili powder, salt and pepper.
Hey, that works.
Occasionally, I forget what else I use.
Garlic in all its forms is amazing.
Yeah, garlic. Yeah.
Yeah. As long as you don't get some really bad, like it doesn't taste like garlic at all type of thing, but usually as long as you don't get anything that isn't fresh garlic or garlic powder, you're fine.
I just usually get the cloves and smash them.
Yeah, I still haven't done that yet because I don't have a garlic press or anything, so I just usually get the already pressed stuff in the jar.
Yeah, I got what was it, Spice World? That thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly. I have a garlic press, but I didn't buy an expensive one. So upon its 5th use, like the handle separated. Like, well, this is crap. All right. Well, this week for the American Greed Factory podcast, this is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
Andrew.
Goodbye, America.